Victor Vale was a wolf among sheep, and it took a lot to make 463 hardened criminals look like the part of prey. Hey, I'm Ray, and today I will be reviewing the Villain series by V. Schwab. This is the second one. The first one's called Vicious. Victor and Eli started out as college roommates, brilliant, arrogant, lonely boys who recognized the same sharpness and ambition in each other. Their senior year, shared research interest in adrenaline, near-death experiences, and seemingly supernatural events reveals an intriguing possibility that under the right conditions, someone could develop extraordinary abilities. But when their thesis moves from academic to the experimental, things go horribly wrong. 10 years later, Victor breaks out of prison, determined to catch up to his old friend, now foe, aided by a young girl whose reserved nature obscures a stunning ability. Meanwhile, Eli is on a mission to eradicate every other superpowered person that he can find. Aside from his sidekick, an enigmatic woman with an unbreakable will. Armed with terrible power on both sides, driven by the memory of betrayal and loss, the arch nemesis have set courses for revenge. But who will be left alive at the end? There's a lot of jargon for the book as it gets real dark, but they are abandonment, alcohol consumption, animal death, graphic blood, cheating, domestic abuse, death, drug use, electrocution, gun violence, medical experimentation, murder, overdosing, panic, self-harm, suicide, mentioned and attempted, and violence. However, this book, this whole series, was a 5 out of 5. Like, holy crap. I loved everything about this book series, and I was surprised, as usually I like a book with a bit of romance, but something like nicer. No, this book was chef's kiss, but it's kind of similar to If We Were Villains. It's very quick paced, and one of my favorite things about this whole entire book is the fact that it's not told in chronological order, but rather each chapter changes times. So I want to say the first book starts out 2 nights ago, but the next chapter is 14 years ago, and the entire series does this. And so you're left with trying to figure out, okay, so in this point of view, in this time, they hate each other, but in the beginning, they're besties, they're best friends. What the heck happened in those 14 years that led to this point? And certain things work out because of your present chapters, and but you're just like, how did it work out? Like, what was the process? And you're getting that information from the past chapters, and your past chapters reveal the relationship the characters have, and the present chapters reveal like what's going on, and you're just waiting for that moment of when you turn that page and your new chapter starts and it says now, or like 2 hours ago, and that is the best moment, because you're like, this is it, we're getting close now, and you're like, it was just like such a build up rather than just like, oh, chronological. But no, you're on edge because you don't know, like, how long is she gonna keep me waiting for this moment of this is what's happening now. This is the present, and it's the best feeling of having. And it's also really fun to keep up with, like, okay, so this is 14 years ago. This was 4 weeks ago. How does this line up? Like between the last chapter, which was 3 weeks ago, and 5 weeks ago. Like how, and it's like you get to all the puzzles together yourself. Oh, so good. There's a lot of characters, and I'm going to go over all of them. There's also going to be spoiler warnings for the first book and the second book in this review. But, if you haven't read it, please do. It's amazing. I loved it so much. But, we have 2 main characters, and the first one is Eli Cardell. He has the EO ability, which EO stands for Extraordinary Ability of Regeneration. So, like, stab him, he heals, like, amazing. And he finds it, this whole book. But the way this works is that he and Victor are best friends in college, and they're pre-med students, and they write an essay. Victor's does his on adrenaline and like shock, and Eli decides, I'm gonna do mine on EOS. And the thing about Eli though is that he's the golden boy, right? Like, people see him, everyone loves him. He's a popular kid in high school. He smiles, everything works out for him. However, Victor sees that Eli for the first time, and Victor immediately knows that there's something up with this kid. Like, this whole little smile thing, why everyone loves him, this is a charade. This is not who Eli is. And this throws Eli off, because Eli's like smiling, he's like, hey. And Victor can immediately tell that Victor does not care. Like, Victor has nothing to do with this version of Eli itself. So when they get paired as roommates their senior year, and they meet each other, Eli slowly starts becoming his true self rather than this mask he's been wearing for the past years of his life. And seeing that mask go away and shining out like who Eli really is incredible. In this book, there are no heroes. They all kill each other. not each other, but they all kill people. They're all murderers. Their morals are all questionable. However, Eli was one of my favorites because of the fact that he is religious. So like he goes around and he kills all these people, but in his eyes, it's God's work. Like it's completely okay because this is his purpose. God sent him to do this. And it's like, yes. Like, is it awful? Yes. Is it horrible? Yes. But do I want more of it? Yes. Because of the fact that I love a religious villain. Like, he doesn't see this as wrong. Like, he's meant to do this. Like, God, he became an EO back in college, and his first thought was this was wrong. This should not have happened. This is not okay. This is against God. So naturally, he has to go kill every other EO in the universe because that's his purpose now, because he can't die. And he does this with the help of Serena Clark, whose power is mind control. And so just by saying the words, she gets to do whatever she wants. And the funny thing is that in the first book with Serena Clark, he's working together, but there's a power imbalance because while Eli's doing all the stunts and he is pretending to be the hero and he sets things up so that way he can swoop in and save people and play this beautiful part, Serena's the one in control because if she wanted something, all she has to do is tell Eli, hey, do this, and he has to do it. And that is beautiful because he has that power imbalance. But you can also see throughout the book as Eli gets used to it, he can start to resist. He starts finding little loopholes in what she says, and like there's that power imbalance, and it's just beautiful. Like, oh, it's wonderful. But our other main character is Victor Vale. Now, this man he is like, I'm gonna call him main character number 1 because in the first book, for the first half, this is the only point of view you get. In the second half of the first book, you also get Eli and a bit of Sid and the rest of the other characters, but it's mainly focused on Victor. And his power is he can do pain manipulation, pain enhancing, and nerve manipulation. And when I tell you that this man is such a great person, this is like, his storyline is so interesting. His parents, they're self-help gurus, and Victor Vale wants nothing to do with it. You meet him, and he's a pre-med student like Eli, and he like asks, like, why did you decide to save lives? And he goes, I didn't want to save lives. I want to be a doctor for the power, for the authority, which is immediately like, oh, like, he's not a good guy. He's not trying to pretend to be like a good guy like Eli is. He's almost like, this is who I am. I just want the power, right? And it's wonderful because you get this set point in the first book of him back in college with Eli, and they're best buds. Like, they're working on this experiment together. They're finding out how to become an EO. They're doing their thesis. But in the present, 10 years in the future from that point, he hates Eli, and he is set focused on getting his revenge. And so the whole first book is you slowly finding out why Victor hates Eli so much. And it's wonderful because you can just see it affects all his decisions, and he does blackout poetry with his parents' self-help books, and he leaves like messages, and they're all dark and horrible, and Victor's not okay, and it's wonderful. Like, oh, he was one of my favorite characters because he does not care about what he's doing. He sees his goal, he knows what his goal is, and he'll do whatever it takes to get to his goal. Like, that's his one focus. But however, he has help. His first friend besides Eli he meets in prison, and his Mitch Turner. Mitch Turner is amazing. Like, he is complete opposite of all the other people because of the fact that he's not that bad of a person. Like, yeah, he's in prison, but why, man? Well, it's because he's 6'5", lots of tattoos, very muscular. So at a young age, in and out of foster homes, the police just look at him when he's near a crime and like, oh, that was you. And so he was putting in prison, back into prison, back into prison. Here's the thing, Mitch Turner, while he is very strong, he's very smart as well. So he's a master hacker. And so after a point, he decided, you know what? I'm done with being sent to prison for crimes I didn't commit. But if I'm going to continue to be sent to prison, I might as well commit a crime. So I'm going to rob a bank. Here's the thing, he got sent to prison longer than he should have because they get all the guys who committed the bank robbery, and they look at all of them and they're like, oh, that's the big brawny dude. These are a bunch of skinny guys. You robbed the bank. When actually, Mitch Turner is a fantastic hacker. So he meets Victor Vale in prison together. They break out together, and Victor Vale is just like, you're coming with me now. And Mitch is like, you know what? That's fair. I had bad luck. If I go out alone, I'm going to be sent back to prison, so why not? I'll help you out. And Victor Vale doesn't use Mitch as body muscle half the time. Most of the time, Victor's sitting in their apartment, hacking into all the systems for Victor, which is wonderful. Like, yes, put people with what they need to. Victor doesn't need muscle. He has pain. He can just put someone in an extreme amount of pain and be done with it. Like, oh, they are such a great duo. And Mitch doesn't have any powers. He is completely 100% human. So, like, he doesn't understand half of it. But we quickly learned that Victor has an issue of just picking up people as he moves along all these cities. But the next person he befriends is Sydney Clark. That thing has to know because she is the younger sister of Serena Clark. And it's so good. Because he finds Sydney Clark on the side of the road. She's freezing. She's been shot in the shoulder. And he just takes her in. Now, her and her sister both died by going into a frozen lake and practically drowning. However, Sydney Clark power is not mind control like her sister. It's resurrection. So she gets there, she's in a lot of pain. Victor fixes her up, they take her in, and they quickly find out about her ability because Victor tells about hers, and she reveals, like, oh, I can raise the dead. And Victor's like, okay, you're staying with me because this gives Victor an advantage because Eli can't die. So his whole revenge story, it's not going to end with Eli's death because of the fact that Eli cannot die. But if Victor, who can die, dies because of Eli, and he gets arrested, then he gets his revenge. Eli's been in prison, and Sydney can just bring him back. Now, Sydney, however, is a 12-year-old little girl, which, as a whole, she acts, and I love the fact that she acts like a child, but she is a bit older for her age, as she did die. And she was shot. Who shot her? Eli. So obviously she's like, you know what? I'm down. Let's go get him because he shot me and he's dating my sister and I'm not okay with any of this and I want my revenge. The last person Victor Vale picks up is Dominic Rusher, whose power is like teleportation, but it's not because he can't teleport per se. The way it's described is that he's able to like freeze time and enters like this space in between, and he's able to move around freely. However, the world still is there, so while no one else can see what's going on and it's black and white and he moves very slowly throughout this time, if he's in a locked prison cell and the door is still like locked and he doesn't have the key for it, if he goes into the space between, he can't get out. Like, he still has to, the doors have to be open for him in order for him to slip inside and leave, which is great. And the way this works is they meet him, they need him, and so Victor's like, and he's in an extreme amount of pain, so he's just like constant drunk, and he's just like, I wanted to die, did not die, and now I'm back here. Why? I don't know, but he's constantly drunk. Victor Vale finds him, he's like, listen, I need your help. I'm on a revenge mission. You help me, I take your pain away. You also have silver up. And so this is Victor's crew. This is Victor's crew, and they all work together in the first book to get to Eli and Serena. And they do, and it's so good because like you're just waiting. You see Victor Vale picking all these pieces. You see this plan developing. The other character we meet in the first book is Mark Stell, who is the police chief, and he knows Victor and Eli from college. Like, he was there the night Victor got his powers, and so he's aware. But here's the thing: because of Serena's abilities to mind control, she's recruited the police to help them out. So he is completely 100% Eli. Go Eli. Like, Eli is our hero. But the night Victor's like, it's wonderful. So like you can see they're hunting down Victor, but no one can find Victor because Victor's still smart. Like, he's still a pre-med student, and it's wonderful. Second book, we get more, which, so at the end of the first book, major spoiler warning, but at the end of the first, Eli ends up in jail, Victor ends up dead, and Serena's dead, everyone else is alive. But and so the second book picks up with Sydney digging up Victor's grave and raising him back, right? Which is like, yes, like, he's back. We can continue the story. What's going to happen now? Eli's sitting in a prison cell this time. It's like 6 years in the future. And the one thing we learned quickly is that because of the fact that Victor is an EO and not human, he gets raised a bit differently, and his powers are now not working as they're supposed to, and he hears this buzzing, and every once in a while, he will die again, but come back. And throughout the book, these time periods get longer. And so now this storyline of him is him trying to figure out, how do I get better? Like, who can fix me? And Eli is now working again with Mark Stell, the police captain who has started a EON, which is an elimination force and security force for EOs, who they can basically kidnap them and use them as side experiments so they can study their powers. But he's using Eli, who has a great skill for finding EOs, to help him do so. But one of my favorite characters of the series is introduced in the second book, and that is Marcella Morgan. Now, Marcella Morgan is a very pretty woman. She knows this. She has used this her life. Pretty is one of the most natural compliments. And she married a mob boss. Why? Because she wants the power. She's very ambitious, and she knows that as a woman, she won't get that power. But her husband can. And one night, she decides to kill her husband because she catches him cheating. However, her husband is still 200 pounds heavier than she is, and she fails, and she gets burned in her house. However, she is saved by the police force because they're like, oh, perfect, this woman, when she wakes up, we can hopefully, we can save her, he'll give us information, and we can bring down the mafia in our town, right? But here's the thing. Marcella wakes up, and she learns what happened, and she quickly finds out her ability of erosion. And so she just crumbles the bed away. She gets out of the hospital. She's still covered in burns. And she is set to go find her husband and kill him. Because she's like, listen, my last thought was I will ruin you. I don't plan on changing that thought. I plan on bringing this town. I own this town. And I love her because she is such a flair for the dramatics as well. So not only does she want him dead, but she wants to do it in a way. She wants to show the world what she can do. Like, she's done being underestimated for her looks. So she gets there and she sees her husband and she just starts crying. She's like, oh my goodness, I was so worried. I was in the hospital and they wouldn't tell me anything about you. And he places this, he's, oh perfect. I still get my pretty trophy wife and she doesn't know a thing that I tried to kill her and I actually killed her, you know? Well, she sits in his lap and she's still crying, you know, and then she wraps his hand around his throat and it rows him away. And now this is a very public mafia party dinner, and so she kills 2 other people and she lets the other 2 people run away so they would continue to tell. And now EON is now well aware of this woman, and they're like, all right, we gotta stop this. Like, we can't let this happen. So they start sending their members to go find her. It's failing because of the fact that she just touches them and they crumble away. Like, she knows how to use a gun. She's not anyway weak. Like, she's well equipped for this. In one of these battles, this is where we meet June, whose power is shapeshifting, which June is such a fun character because she doesn't wear her own skin ever. Like, she is 100% someone else 99% of the time. She knows when someone's an EO because she can't get she can't turn into them. They have to be human for her to turn into them. And so she meets Marcella and she's like, listen, I can help you out. I have someone who you want dead as well, and I also want them dead, so let's do this. And when they go to kill this person together, you get to find out the real ability behind June's shapeshifting, of the fact that she won't die, the other person will. So she takes the person's shape and he shoots her and he dies instead because of the fact that she's wearing his skin, and it's like she's a living voodoo doll. Wonderful. And the last person Marcella Morgan picks up for her team is Jonathan Royce, whose power is force field generation. And this can be applied not only to him, so he can't die, which he is very upset about because he wants to die to go see his wife. It's not going to happen though. And so he goes with Marcella and he follows her around like a puppy dog because she's just like, listen, eyes on me so I don't have to die and I don't have to worry about bullets anymore. Like, no guns, no problem. Like, shoot me, dare you. And so you have all these different storylines, and you can see that Eli is slowly like trying to figure out, how do I get out of here? Like, Eli's not done. Like, he figures out that Victor's not dead, and he's like, I'm not going to tell Stella about it because I want to kill Victor. Like, that's mine, right? And he plants this idea instead of like, hey, listen, I can't die. Send me to get Marcella, you know, like, I got this. Let me help you. And Victor is quickly realizing that no one can help him. Like, it's not fit. No one's being able to fix him. And so you have all these storylines, and you're just waiting for the moment where they all collide. And they collide with June and Sydney, who they know each other. Because Sydney, she looks like a 12-year-old girl still, but she's actually like 18. And this is very rough because he wants to be an adult and act like an adult and do all the adult things that she's able to do. She's 18 years old, but because of her ability and the way she died, she doesn't age. Like, she still looks 13. She doesn't look any different than she was as a child. And so she's lonely, and Mitch doesn't want her to do anything, and Victor's just like, I have other things to figure out, and he's not going to tell her anything. And so she starts talking to June, and they start texting back and forth, and so June uses her to figure out where's Victor at, because Marcella wants Victor, because Stell wants Victor, and this will get Stell off her back. And so you have all these party things showing up, and it's so good, because it's just told in the same way as the first book. So you get Marcella's past of her meeting her husband, Marcus, and her getting into the mafia, and why she starts hating him with her thirst for power. And you get Eli's backstory, which is chef's kiss, because Eli is still religious. Like, even though he's in prison now, he is still like, maybe what I did was wrong. But like, if I get out of this prison cell, if Stell lets me out, that means God means for me to continue my work. And it's wonderful to see all these storylines. You get more Mitch, and you get more Dominic still there. He is working at EON so he can spy on them for Victor. And it's wonderful. And it's like, oh, this book series, these characters are so messed up. It's wonderful. I love them all. And the world building, there's no, the world it's set on ours. It's set in America in a little town called Merritt. And if you're wondering how you become an EO, it's a near-death experience. So the first book, you get to learn about Victor's and Eli's and Sydney's death experiences and how they almost die, but they come back. And you learn throughout the books, like, in order to come back as an EO, not only do you have to have the near-death experience and the trauma response and the shock response to that, but you have to have not only a will to live, but your powers will depend on the reason you died and your final thoughts. So for like Marcella Morgan, for example, her powers are erosion. She died in a fire, penned underneath a candelabra by Marcus, and her last thoughts as she was shouting them at her husband were, "I will ruin you." Like, it's wonderful. This whole series, like, it's so wonderful, and I was not expecting to love it as much as I did, but I loved it. It's such a great series to read, and you get into it really quickly. Like, it's not slow paced at all. Things are happening every single moment. And even if some of the chapters are slow, you just know that very soon you're going to get somewhere where it's going fast again, because it jumps around at times. So there's not like a slow point. There's a slow chapter every now and then, but that's it. And it's getting all this information, and it doesn't feel like you're being like filled with all this backstory because of the way it's done. And it's just so good. If you want a book about a crap ton of villains who just want each other to kill and fix themselves, and they don't care about any sort of morals, this is a book for you. Like, it's so good. I definitely recommend. It's such a good book. But anyway, that's my review on Vicious and Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. Thanks for watching.